Flaherty is telling me the story of how he was the shortest guy in the military for his knowledge. Go ahead.
Well, and according to the Army itself, no one shorter than 4'9", you have to be 5 foot to get in the military.
In the summer of 2015, the tiny homeless man confessed his shocking life story to me, and then only a week later he'd be killed. So I was working off-duty job at the movie theater in uniform, and this tiny little dude would come in, and just like you just see somebody over and over, and that's how relationships start. You don't just go approach people you don't know, a head nod, or this or that. There was something different about this guy besides the fact that he was tiny. He was 4'9". He also was athletic built. See him every day, sort of the nods, and I started asking because he was always in the movies. So I would ask him about the movie he just saw, and that's kind of how a relationship started. And then I would see him out on the streets, and we would talk more and more. And this guy, this little guy had such knowledge about the world. Now, the other thing I want to stop and say is I try getting him off the streets. I try to say, hey, we have shelters. Hey, I have these programs. I have this. What can I do to help you get off the streets? But as you mentioned, you said the word Baker, and cops know what that means in Florida. For the rest of us, it's a mental illness where a Baker Act means that the person is a danger to themselves or to others, and if we left them alone, untreated, it would cause harm to themselves. My little guy never met that criteria that, I could force him into a hospital or into some type of doctor's care. So we just stay friends, and I kind of had that, you just kind of get that feeling that the guy doesn't want you to peer too much into his past. And I didn't. So we would just talk about politics and laugh a lot. So fast forward 15 years of this friendship, of just meeting for coffee, having a sandwich, and he looks me in the eye one day and he says, Dave, I got to tell you who I really am. So as cops, we're a skeptical bunch. So I'm like, all right, here he is. He's going to tell me he's wanted here. I killed these people, and, I'm about to turn myself in. I don't know what he's going to say, but I'm super nervous because I really did enjoy talking to the guy. I really thought he had a lot of interesting philosophical ideas that he would actually, constantly prep me and test me. So here's a homeless guy kind of teaching me.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing about being humble is everyone on this earth can teach you something. So I was picking up stuff from him and learning stuff from him. So what does he say? He says, Dave, I was the smallest man ever served in the U.S. military, and my mind's like, impossible. But he keeps going. He goes, I served over in Vietnam with the 101st Airborne, and then after my first tour, I went back to Special Forces School, became a Green Beret. I was like, a Green Beret. Yeah. So it's like now the story's getting even crazier. And then after, I started working undercover operations with the ATF, and I don't want you to look into those things because, some of those things are still classified. And then I did some private military contract work. I did some private military contract for the CIA, and I'm like, he's got his story down, and I love my friend, but man, he's obviously much more delusional than I can possibly believe. He starts telling me this information. I'm getting nervous that maybe he wasn't really, as mentally stable as I thought.
Okay.
Basically, he's telling me he's Captain America. So, I mean, I just left that, with a real shaken feeling of feeling bad because, it's like from now on, I kind of look at him as somebody really much more damaged than I initially thought.
Yeah.
So I go home that night, and I'm taking off my uniform, and I'm not even going to think, well, whatever, let me check on the, Google, who is the smallest guy, and all of a sudden, these old newspaper articles, smallest man wants to join the military, smallest man wants to become a Green Beret, and it's him.
Oh, my God.
So I'm like, holy shit, the most interesting human being on the face of the earth, the most remarkable, the most incredible, has been living here in Aventura on the streets, and he slept under a tree, and 1 million people every day would pass him by and not even give him a look. And this is the most interesting man in the entire earth. Yeah. So I ran back to him the next day, and he looked at my face. He goes, hey, you didn't believe me. I knew it when I was telling you the story. Now you believe me. So I was like, yeah. And he goes, look. I said, Rich, why'd you tell me? He goes, look, I feel like my life is a cautionary tale of what went wrong when I got out of the military in Vietnam and how I eventually became homeless. And somehow, he goes, Dave, somehow I want you to tell my story. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I mean, eventually I'll just collect his information and I'll just, try to find a real filmmaker, a real writer, take over this thing. And, for the next 2 years, I'll interview Richard. That's the mistake we all make, that we think we have time with people and you just never know. So 10 days after he made this incredible revelation, he gets killed in a really bizarre hit and run. And we could jump into the hit and run a little bit later, and I have no problem talking about it. I usually don't promote it because it's just such an ugly, negative thing, but we can certainly talk about it as cops, especially since the suspect worked for Miami-Dade Homicide Unit.
Lay me down in the cold cauldron, where a foe many men have gone. Lay me down in the cold cauldron, where a foe many men have gone. When they come, I will stand my ground, stand